Danny, good morning. You and I were talking about it, mate, and then the announcement came. Any great shock to you?
It's not a shock. I've got a little bit of sympathy for him. I mean, he was brought in, and I said this when we spoke about it before he got the job.
Yeah.
You know, he's a pragmatic coach, defensive-minded coach, what he did at Wolves, and did it well.
Yes. Yeah.
And Tottenham didn't need that or didn't want that. It's a bit like, I don't know, if you bring a Labrador into the house, you don't get rid of him for licking the postman, do you? It's kind of like... He's not capable of... Well, he's not shown that he's capable in the Premier League of producing a side that plays free-flowing, high-pressing football.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's a bad manager. It's Tottenham needed something different after Mourinho, and he wasn't the answer. So he was always walking the plank. One aspect of it really is motivation, I think, is part of it. He hasn't seemed to get the players playing for him and getting them on board, especially in the last month. That's a question mark over him. And arguably the recruitment team at Wolves is better than at Spurs. He hasn't been given a great deal of quality to work with. The signings Tottenham have made in recent times haven't been very good, I don't think. Whereas at Wolves, the recruitment was very, very good. But ultimately, he was far that, he was, what was he, 8th? Someone said he was 8th choice when they brought him in, 9th choice.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a desperate appointment, wasn't it? So I do feel for him, but the performances haven't been good enough. Tottenham fans they've had enough. I think it was right to act, take him out of his misery.
Well, I don't think they've had enough just of Espírito Santo. They've had enough of virtually everything at the football club, I think. Simon, this is what Tottenham are saying. They've announced that Nuno has gone, and everybody's gone with him. Ian Cathro, Rui Barbosa and Antonio Diaz. They've all gone. The new man, the managing director of football, Fabio Paratici, says, I know how much Nuno and his coaching staff wanted to succeed. I regret we've had to take this decision. Nuno is a true gentleman and will always be welcome here. We should like to thank him and his coaching staff and wish him very well for the future. So he's gone. The fact is, Simon, I think there's hardly a Tottenham fan out there who's got any faith in this board anymore. I mean, when are they going to get it right?
Okay, who made the decision? Who appointed Nuno Espírito Santo? Was it Daniel Levy or was it the director of football? Because the director of football has been brought in and has had a very big reputation, and I suspect he's made the decision to take Nuno Espírito Santo out. But you also have to look at the whole dynamic of the landscape.
Well, you think both would make the decision,
Well, I don't
Simon?
think so. I don't think you have a dog and bark. I don't think you bring in a director of football of this substance and suggest that Daniel Levy made the appointment. If Daniel Levy would have sanctioned the appointment, but I suspect Paratici was very instrumental in allowing Nuno Espírito Santo to come through the door.
So you saying Paratici turned to Levy and said, I think it's time up for Nuno. Yeah, okay.
I'm saying that if you're the director of football and you've been brought in... I'm not giving Daniel Levy a pass here, by the way, because this all started with taking Mourinho out before the League Cup final.
Before
the League Cup final. So the genesis of it isn't just goes back to Pochettino. People have got very selective memories. There was a segment of Tottenham fans that were very disillusioned with Pochettino in the October of 2019 or whenever it was that Mourinho came in. Everybody knew that the marriage of Mourinho and Levy was a marriage made in hell, and it was going to go the way it did, irrespective of the Mourinho that walked through the door, which was the new Mourinho with a happy Mourinho. I've got a wonderful squad. It's the best Christmas present I could have ever had.
Yeah.
So you look at this and say, is it conceivable that Paratici comes in and isn't involved in the decision-making process around Nuno Espírito Santo?
No, I agree with that, but I think Daniel should be giving him a remit of the type of manager he wants, surely.
In terms of what? Isn't it the other way around? Isn't it very clear and evident that Daniel brings in a director of football saying, right, this is now what we have to do. Right, we have to move this club forward. These are the constraints.
So he's putting all his trust in him, is what you're saying?
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? I thought Daniel Levy had made a position clear that there was going to be a separation of the powers. Daniel Levy has never been somebody that is a great football operator in terms of picking teams, making sure, being involved in the picking of teams, or involved in the selection.
Pick the team.
Well, no, being involved in the discussion. Well, there's nothing wrong with the chairman being involved in the discussion about how a team is selected. That's part and parcel of what some chairman want to do. Whether they should be instrumental.
Well, that's exactly what we don't want.
Don't be silly, Jim. Being involved in a discussion.
Did you ever tell a manager to pick the team?
You're taking off on a tangent. I didn't say. I just said at a chairman being involved in a discussion about a selection of a team, being privy to it. And Daniel Levy's never been in that sort of space, or never, I don't believe, ever wanted to be in that space. So the idea that every aspect of Tottenham Hotspur's football policy is defined by Daniel Levy is probably wrong. Every aspect of Tottenham's financial policy and what managers can buy and what they can't sell and how much money they've got, absolutely. But I also think you have to be clear on this, that Daniel Levy doesn't come out of this with any joy. To set the statement up that they've lost all faith in Tottenham Hotspur's board of directors is probably a little bit strong.
Yeah, but I mean, not that long ago, his statement was the new manager will bring back free-flowing, attacking, and entertaining football.
If Daniel has brought in
a dearth of that,
Jim, if Daniel's brought in a sporting director and not had any say or give him any remit on the type of manager he wants him to find, I'd be amazed.
Well, that's my point. But that's my point.
But Simon,
so Daniel has to be to blame
this is
for bringing
Alex
him
in
in.
Harlow. Another failed Daniel Levy experiment. Sacking Nuno is only half the problem. Apathetic, sulky and spoilt players haven't put in a good performance since the Champions League final. Time for many of the team to move on, not just Nuno. In other words...
And that may also be true too.
Clear out.
And you've got a climate which has very much changed inside Tottenham. All of a sudden, Dele Alli's gone from being persona non gratis for a variety of managers. So all of a sudden you start to say, hang on a second, is it the managers or is it the players to some extent? We'll make the argument for Harry Kane and his performance. We'll make the argument for a lot of them. But the bottom line is, and I'm not defending Daniel Levy, I'm not giving him a pass.
No, but let me just get this right.
You're right to bring
Of course it's Paratici. How can it not be?
But so what are you
Damn
saying?
right.
You're saying that Paratici recommended to Levy that they get rid of Nuno?
I'm saying that Paratici was heavily involved in the conversation and involved in bringing him in. Now, whether it was the best of a bad bunch that Paratici had to choose from, he will have been involved in sanctioning that appointment.
Right.
Anyone who thinks he's not is bloody stupid.
Oh, he's culpable as well.
Now, I would suggest that he's also turned around to Daniel Levy and said, this ain't going to work. Under no circumstances is this going to work, so we need to own this and own it quickly. But we can't just sit there and go, right, Daniel Levy, you're public enemy number one, you're a moron, you made this appointment on your own. You've got a director of football of a high level of repute. He would have been involved in this. Now the question is, was he handcuffed? Why would he come to Tottenham Hotspur if he's being told you got to choose a manager from a very low level list of people? I don't believe it. I believe that the framework was that he would have sanctioned this appointment as much as Levy would have done. It's not about economics. He didn't get him on a cheap. It's not about the determination of
But where does the buck stop?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Absolutely. Both of them.
But ultimately,
there's a Tottenham fan. How many times has Levy had to get it wrong before the fingers pointed at him? Results go bad, manager gets sacked. Levy keeps employing managers, then sacking them. He is obviously getting it wrong. That's from a Tottenham fan.
You've got to remember the two blueprints that we define success in football of, to some extent, diminished recently, has been Arsenal and Manchester United. And both of those got lucky with having managers for 21 years. Right. Now look at the blueprint there on afterwards. The only model that we can say that actually works, but it's constantly and endlessly changed, is Chelsea. And then the other model that works is Man City, because they throw endless amounts of money at it. Tottenham and Arsenal don't do that, so there's no surprise that there's been a decline in both of those football clubs.
But you don't think that Tottenham fans this morning are right to be pointing the finger at Levy saying, when are you going to get this right?
Of course, because at the end of the day, he's the chairman of the football club. That's what goes with the territory.
Yeah.
My understanding that sources in Italy are saying that Tottenham believe they can get Antonio Conte over the line this time. Well, let's see, because you have to think they wouldn't sack Nuno Espírito Santo if they didn't have the next guy in line. If they didn't have him in line.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.